Hey everybody, welcome to Highly Unlikely with Josh and Jenaye. We're so glad that you're here, and we're really excited that just one of the best is here, yep. Pastor Sam Hapip.
Appreciate that.
Happy.
Yep, and if you don't know Pastor Sam, he is a joy-filled, passionate, caring dad and husband.
Person.
And pastor.
Yeah.
And person in general. So,
thank you.
Sam, you want to say hi? Have you been on here before?
I have not.
Oh,
Hello.
First time his wife has been for I think TLI stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah, it's my first time.
Well, welcome.
It's awesome.
I'm excited
We're ready.
about this
Question from the box. If you're not watching,
I'm
that's
so
what we're
glad
doing.
Sam is here to answer this. I feel like you would be one of these guys who'd do this. If you could compete for $1 million prize on any reality TV show, which would you choose? I am predicting what you're going to answer, but
I used to have an unhealthy desire to watch American Idol. And
because you wanted to be on it?
because I wanted to be on it. And there was one time I was sitting at the dinner table and my loving mother, which she was right in doing this, said, Sam, I don't know that that's your gift, like that you should pursue that. And I'm glad she did, because I would have been one of those like outtakes that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's
That
awesome.
is so funny.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jenaye?
I feel like it's just because I like the show. And I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of what reality shows. I'm like, what's the easiest way to win $1 million?
Okay,
That's
so
what I'm wondering.
that's what I'm thinking too, because there's
I
like
knew you'd have strategy. I knew it.
the one I would want to be on versus the one I think I could actually have a shot at.
Okay, which one do you want to be on? 1, 2, 3. Survivor.
I knew you were gonna think that. I don't know if I'd actually want to be. I don't think I could do the deception on Survivor. I think I would.
Yeah.
I would.
I can't watch it with him because I don't like that part of it.
I would have to play a very honest game.
Yes.
I think I could actually. Jenaye's gonna laugh at me. You can all make fun of me, but I think if I was actually trying to win $1 million, I think the only one I would maybe have a shot at is like Dancing with the Stars, where I have a coach who's telling me how to dance. And I think I could keep the rhythm enough to actually do it.
Are you now picturing Josh?
I know. See, there's a danger to being honest.
When
I
you
feel
were
like the
my young
creative team
adult
could find a way to
pastor.
And I'm
replace
not saying
someone's
that.
head on a Dancing
Listen,
with the
hear me
Stars
out.
episode.
Hear me out.
with
Otherwise, people are
Josh's
going to
face.
judge me.
We're not judging. We're enjoying this.
If you had a coach and you have a little bit of rhythm, I feel like you have a shot at that show.
The
if I'm
coaches
singing,
make it.
if I'm on Alone, I'm trying to think of what other
Yeah,
options.
on Alone,
you have.
we just need a really good life insurance policy.
I'm like, I would not survive alone at all.
No,
So
I would not
I think
either.
it's my best legitimate.
The show I thought of, which I think I could do because it's not as intense, is Extracted.
That's true.
I think I could do that.
That's very true. And you're
Two of
you're
our favorite
tough as
shows,
nails.
Extracted and I am tough when I have to be. I'm a baby when my husband's around, but I mean, I'm married, so yeah, help me carry
We
that
have to edit
suitcase,
this
please.
podcast. I'm going to take so much grief for that answer, but I can't honestly think of a better reality
I
show.
appreciate your reason of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great. That is a fun question.
that is a fun
I
question.
appreciate that question.
That I'm going to regret. So, okay, what we're actually talking about today is is legacy makers.
That's right.
And we are kind of in that season where we talk a lot about legacy makers in our church. And I have been kind of redefining legacy makers in my mind as not just something that people give to in our church, but it's really a group of people who say, I give above and beyond my regular giving at Evangel to further.
Can you give some context to those
the
words, my regular
mission.
giving, and what Legacy Makers is
Yeah,
for those
I
who
mean,
don't?
Yeah, I
know?
don't want the episode to totally be about giving, so please don't shut it off if you think that's what it's going to be about, because it's not. We're going to talk about like what God is doing in different parts of the world.
Right.
But at Evangel, people give their tithe, their first 10% of their income. We believe
Christians. It's this. Yeah, it's not just
Christians.
Evangel.
Yes.
The biblical concept.
Yeah, and it's
for
funny
sure.
because even yesterday somebody was like made a joke about the tithe and like giving people a 2% discount or something, and like you hear those jokes, but we really, really believe, or people will leverage their tithe of like, I'm not going to give anymore because I don't like this or that. And just as a conviction and a principle, the Bible says the tithe belongs to the Lord. And so we're very serious about that in our lives. And
I think if we're going to talk about highly unlikely things, according to stats, it's highly unlikely to live a life where you do tithe and obey. Because I think it's like less than 10% of professing Christians tithe.
Yeah.
And the stat of what could be funded for the kingdom and what actual difference the capital C church could make in the world if Christians understood what God was asking us to do. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I often think people go, they ask this question like, well, I have to tithe. And anytime that there's something in scripture that is obvious, like being generous, and you're using have to, you haven't caught the heart of it yet.
Yeah,
right?
we get to put it back in the Lord's hands and out of our control.
And
you
God
make a
can
great
do more with 90% in your hands that's blessed than you can do with 100% that is not. You know?
And I think the best teaching I heard on the tithe was just, if you want to compare New and Old Testament, Jesus actually upped the ante from 10%. He was about giving everything.
Yeah.
And so if you want a nickel and dime on the specifics of it.
I was talking about that at Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
I think you had to leave with our kids, but
Probably.
just kind of having this realization of being generous is the basics. Like those are the elementary teachings, generosity, sanctification or changing away from living a sinful life. Like those are the foundations. And if you don't ever put the foundations in place, you never experience the things that you can build on top of the foundation. So we teach our church about giving in that way.
We say there's two ways or two pockets, and it's the tithe, which is the regular giving, what we refer, and then legacy makers, which I think as your wife, it's been so fun to watch you, over the past 11, 12 years where this idea came to you, at other churches, sometimes they call it like kingdom builders is a common name, where really the name legacy makers came through like let your legacy be what you did for the kingdom, like when you're gone from this earth. And how can we do that with our giving? Yeah.
And it really came out of this research that showed that like there was a generation, like my grandparents gave to the institution,
Just because. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they believed in the institution. They believed in the church. And the next generation saw flaws in the institution. So they gave to the person, So you see all these...
The televangelists,
Billy Graham
traveling,
even, and where they would really support the person. And they said, our generation is going to be different because we've seen the flaws in the institution and the person. So they need to give towards an idea or like an inspiration. And so that's where we developed, hey, make your life about more than just your life and leave a legacy or build God's kingdom. And it's just really caught on, in people's hearts. In our church. And so the purity line is the tithe, the regular giving goes to fund the ministries of the church, the general fund, so to speak, that the church has, the day-to-day. And we don't touch legacy makers that stuff doesn't touch legacy makers. Legacy makers is all about furthering the mission. So even our board had a conversation last night. We're doing an office renovation and it was like, this is not legacy makers dollars because at the end of the day, it's not mission critical.
Mission critical.
And it's important, and it's important for our church, and we value our staff, and we value that office space. But legacy makers has to be reserved for Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the ends of the earth. Which includes our own backyard. So Pastor Sam has a huge part in a few different areas of legacy makers, but I would say probably, what's your biggest role in legacy makers? The biggest part of what you do? I have a guess, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I would say missionary care and support and organization support.
Yep. And then reach trips.
And reach trips, of course.
I was going to say missionaries. Like you are for sure the touch point and the connection to, I don't even know how many missionaries. Do you have any idea? The ballpark?
Over 50.
Over 50 missionaries, missions organizations. So there's 5 lanes to legacy makers, 5 different places that we give to, which we think are all central to the gospel. So one is vulnerable kids. That's the Lily Initiative. That's foster care. That's adoption. That's children who aren't born yet. Goes to them. The second lane is local missions. So causes local, we would say, is like in our community or in our nation. Okay, why don't you just talk, Sam? I'll help you.
Are you quizzing him on the 5 lanes?
No, but I know he knows just as much as I do. Third is global.
Global. Yep. So anything outside of the United States, whether that is missionaries we support, reach trips that we take,
Yeah.
or organizations like we talked about, L'Espoir La Vie is a global organization that we support.
Yep. And then the fourth one is Future Leaders. And so that is primarily the Midwest Leadership College.
Yep.
And supporting the college. Those 4 lanes are what our church basically tithes to. Every year we give a tithe of our tithe as a church to make sure it goes to missions, to those types of causes. And then the 5th lane, which it's like the above and beyond, above the above and beyond, is future projects. And that is campuses. That is
it's expanding even how we've prayed, like, Lord, expand the tent pegs of our of the house.
Everything
and
we've done
expanding
in the state penitentiary this last year.
State pen, Dickinson campus, Garrison campus, even online campus. Like, we treat that as a campus because it should be for the people who cannot come in person.
Yep.
So that is our heart, and the resource that goes into each of those campuses and furthering the gospel there.
Right. And so those are the lanes that we're continually trying to continue to have reach in, because there's even a scripture that says, if you cast your bread out on the water, it will return back to you. And like, when you bless the nations and you bless those who maybe you have no direct benefit, that God has a way of a blessing in return. So what I really want to get out of that, and what I want to talk to you about for a few minutes is, and part of why I wanted Sam to be here, is I would love for you to share maybe some of your favorite things that we do.
This will be fun.
Or, some of your favorite things that we support, things you're excited about, or like missionaries that you get to touch base with.
Yeah.
I know you can't even share everything. There's people that we really have to protect their information, but why
do we have to protect their information?
Because they're in closed countries, or, well, why don't you answer? Sorry.
Yeah, Sam.
You can tell I'm passionate about it, because I'm like,
yes, No, and I just know there's some people, this concept is so new, and I just want to give a little, my job is to make sure we're giving context.
Yeah, you're the interviewer.
Yeah, so oftentimes a closed country would be one that is in the 1040 window, and the people that live in that country are primarily Muslim, Buddhist, follow Hindu practice.
It's the highest concentration of people in the world, and they happen to have the lowest gospel exposure.
Correct.
Is the 1040 window.
Is the 1040 window. And
it's latitudinal lines on the globe. That's where the numbers 1040 come from.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of hostility towards the gospel.
Yeah.
And those that are sharing the gospel and living it. And so with that, they have to be extremely careful about what they can share. So that's why if sometimes people come and we cut the feed while they're sharing in person, because we can't share it online or share it on the website or whatever, we just have to protect them so they can continue the work that God has called them to.
Because their work is definitely being done kind of behind the scenes, undercover, where they're at.
Yeah. Many times going into those countries as English teachers or tourist company or whatever.
Yep.
But producing a lot of fruit as they go.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was your question? What are some of my favorite?
Yeah. When you hear us talk about legacy makers, what are the passions that pop up in your heart?
Yeah. So one of them I'm wearing.
Yeah, let's go.
Is What I Have, or the Alaska Student Partnership in Western Alaska. And I had the privilege of going to Alaska, I think twice this year. And just seeing, like, being friends with the missionaries, but then seeing the work that they're doing and seeing the people that are being impacted. I tell people it's like one of the joys of my life is going and being a part of a project like that.
Yes.
And I mean, they get it. They understand the people. They care and love them very much, or like very well.
Yeah.
And so it's just a privilege. And so I'm happy to wear the sweater to promote what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Steve Pavic, who's connected there, has been on the podcast. So if you haven't heard his, I think he's done 2 episodes with us.
Yeah.
You can scroll back and listen to that.
And he's been at Legacy Makers Banquet. And our church has been pretty exposed.
Yeah. I might be biased in this next one, but I've known Paul Herkman for probably 12 or 13 years. And he, in my opinion, is just a gem of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see him when he's not on the stage, right? And like whether that's over a meal or whatever, and just see who he really is. And so then when he talks about what Venture is doing in tough places, I'm happy to give towards something like that because I know what the reality is on the other side, because I know who he is and what, just as a person, what he put his hands to.
Yeah. I was at their gala
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And one of the things that they do, I think last year they sent out 2 million meals to refugees, especially in some countries that are very war torn that you never even hear about. But it's been this long-term like civil war, and the government is suppressing the people to the point where we send this food in and they have to hide these food caches. So they'll like go bury them. And then,
well, tell about the guy you heard from that shared.
Yeah, so the guy who was there has been doing this for 30 years, literally dodging bullets to try to feed refugees and people that are fleeing between the borders of these two countries. Parents will go across the border, drop their kids off, and try to re-enter the country and then be shot. Like it's just, and I had a friend there with me, and it was the most sobering, one of the most sobering experiences of my life, because I walked in thinking, Evangel's going to support Venture in November by giving $26,200, which we're believing that Legacy Makers this year is going to be close to $3 million, which is unbelievable.
Never happened.
Yeah.
We just had Unique Conference, and we'd only ever given maybe 25,000 as a conference. Maybe you share your story first, and then I can share that story.
We should talk about that too, because we should talk about Les Pas La Vie.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll get there.
And so I walked in thinking we're one of the premier sponsors of this world race where people from Venture are going to run 7 marathons in 7 days to raise money for human trafficking or to fight human trafficking. And we took a continent. They're going to run in South Africa, and we're sponsoring that continent on Legacy Makers Sunday, which is really exciting. It's cool. The actual day they'll be running. And so I walked in thinking, this is really cool. I mean, can I just be really honest?
Yes, please. Always.
I was like, we're in the room. We're one of the premier sponsors. Like, we're giving $26,000. I was sat at a table, like in the front.
Look what we're doing.
Look how amazing we are.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, and I'm just being transparent. Like, I felt really good about it, And we've actually given way more than that this year. It doesn't matter though, what I'm about to tell you, because this guy, got up and he said for 30 years, literally bullets have been whizzing by me as I hide these food caches.
So and he buries food, people. Hides it, so people can go back, they dig it up. Because they'll take the food if they know if you're supplying food.
Right, yeah, because they want the people to suffer. They want to keep them suppressed. And so they'll just destroy the aid.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I thought, I came in here feeling really good about the fact that we're going to give like the equivalent of maybe one pontoon, and this guy for 30 years has been.
Well, you said to me,
just like
I walked out
life.
of there and Chris and I were like, have we done anything for the kingdom?
Yeah.
Have we that's sobering, that's not about comparison. No, that'll steal your joy. But when you get a perspective shift of the sacrifice, right? Because our own sacrifice feels pretty sacrificial to us.
Right.
But I just think the Lord, that is such an example. And the Lord's been so faithful in our whole leadership journey. He humbles us real quick when pride gets in. And that's really what you just explained.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And I honestly walked in and Paul was like, I'm going to acknowledge what you guys are doing when we talk about the race. And he didn't. And I was so grateful because by the time they got to that point, I was like, It's
not enough, Lord. It's not enough.
But I do want to clarify for people, like, I haven't been called to that country to dodge bullets and, store food caches. Like, so I can compare my life to his and go, I'm doing nothing for the kingdom, but my calling is my calling.
Yep.
And his calling is his calling. And your calling is your calling. And it's just each one of us going, what's my role in God's bigger plan?
It was really just a moment for you of like, am I being obedient to the last degree?
And it was really to sacrifice more, and to not be stingy and to like,
with your time.
So I'll just say this about venture and then we can transition. One of the things about venture is I was telling the team yesterday, they are a 4-star organization on Charity Navigator, which rates nonprofits and how responsible they are. And 100% of what a church gives to venture goes directly to like rescuing people or to that food, because they have a small group of families and businesses who pay all of their overhead. So when our church gives to venture, you're not even really giving to venture, you're giving through venture directly to the needs.
It's not covering to keep the lights on per se.
Yeah, so we paid for a border patrol station for women to be rescued out of trafficking between 2 countries where women are often trafficked, and 100% of what we gave went to that border patrol station, which is why I love venture so much.
Yeah.
Jenaye, let's jump to you real quick. Talk about Les Pas La Vie and what God did at Unique, and then we're going to come back to you for more great things about. I wanted to get into some of the projects and stuff that we support. So
yeah, just kind of unpack a little bit more. Well, it was just I can just share from Unique perspective, Unique conference, and we always do a giving highlight. And I think, I don't know if we're going to do this, but we've highlighted Les Pas La Vie a couple times, and we might just keep highlighting them in the years to come.
We support a church in Haiti. We support a class of kids and the food and education they get. And then we picked up a new thing this year. Right.
And it's all through pretty much connected / through Les Pas La Vie,
it's all through Les Pas La Vie.
Yeah, started by a couple in our church. The husband is originally from this area. And they started a new, I guess, lane, you could call it, to Les Pas La Vie. And first it was called the female empowerment lane, girl empowerment lane. But they titled
Which
it
in global
Isaiah
missions
62.
means something totally different than America female empowerment.
Yeah, no, you're going to countries where women's worth is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, your worth is to have a child.
And they have
even
no
then you're
education.
mistreated. No.
On being
Education is a massive privilege. So trying to share it concisely, but they titled it Isaiah 62. So they operated in doing it last year without funding, saved 6 lives, technically, 3 moms, 3 babies. So adolescent pregnancies are very common. And their goal, it's multifaceted, but to see a reduction in teen or adolescent pregnancies. Unfortunately, a lot of the girls who end up pregnant don't even know how you would end up pregnant. And some of it is through incest. Some of it is through just plain abuse. Some is through maybe they have a boyfriend or something like that, but they've never even received the education about consent, about just like there's just morality. And then there's, boundaries, consent, things like that. Your worth as a woman, that you're not just a body for things to be done to, and which is very anti how they are raised, as many women in countries similar to that. So, I read through all the testimonies, but the 3 women they were able to help, all 3 of them needed medical intervention in their labor. And so really resulted in the saving of the mom or the saving of the child. And even the one story I read, I think on that Sunday or during Unique, was about the woman who, wanted to give birth at home. They saw the conditions, were like, this is not great. You should really go to the hospital. And because of her advocate through Isaiah 62 Project, which is under Les Pas La Vie, the advocate made sure she got to the hospital, ended up needing a C-section. They tried to discharge her due to non-payment the next day. I mean, if any woman has had a C-section, which I have not, but I have friends who have, I mean, that's a massive, massive surgery. So then through Les Pas La Vie, they paid for it. So she was able to stay another day or 2 to recover. But even upon discharge, her doctor was like, yep, you can just go. And she had 6 miles to walk home with a baby after a C-section with her stuff. So again, the advocate made sure she had a car. It's just like these things where you're like, what are we providing really? It's like the things that in America are very basic. Like, that's just mind-boggling, right? So our goal is like, I think they said, I can't remember what they said it was to fund it for the year, but I thought it was $25,000 or maybe 20 or 40. And I was like, we can rally the women around it. Let's just see what the Lord does. And I'm going to tell this part of the story because I don't have lofty theological reasoning for a lot of the things I've seen in ministry. I can tie it back to scripture, but I can't tell you how or why it happened, right? Have you ever found that? I don't know. You're much better with words than me. But there was one person that messaged us during conference and said, hey, our family feels led to give $25,000, which from what I remember, I thought that was the goal. I should have, anyone? No? Remember what the goal we set It's between 25 and 40.
I think I had $24,000 in my notes. So I think it was like 24, 25 grand.
Where I thought I was getting that and the amount they gave screwed up. So, which we did not tell anyone that we got this message, anything like that. They didn't tell us till later that they had prayed, Lord, triple it.
Yeah,
When people,
he said to me in passing, like, our prayer is just that God would triple it.
okay, so that's like 75,000. The most Unique has ever given is 25, maybe 26, which we did 2 conferences this year rather than 1. So then days go on and we get to like Sunday, or we just kind of get the feedback, and it was like Unique gave $100,000 to Les Levy.
135.
Well, yeah, that was my first thing was 100,000. And then within the next week, more people, which I actually still have my check to submit. We had to order more checks. I have my giving envelope filled out. But so I was like, Ruby is probably going to keep going up. Like just people. So yeah, 135. So I said, I can't explain to you how or why. I didn't say anything persuasive. We didn't do anything different from the platform. But you can't convince me otherwise that one person hearing from the Lord and obeying did not break forth something in the spirit over that conference atmosphere that then, I don't know. You can't convince me otherwise that it's not connected to someone's massive yes and obedience. Not that it's that person's responsible or their prayer, but I just think we minimize the impact that your obedience, an unseen impact of your obedience to God in the kingdom.
Let me just say it this way. If somebody walks in the room and has a critical spirit, you can watch other people become critical.
Yeah.
When somebody walks in the room and has a generous spirit, that it's not just the negative that catches in people. Like that can spread into other people's hearts too.
And these are not people, I think we're the only people who knew. Like they're not people that are like, we're telling people we prayed this. Yeah, they asked us not to share who they were or anything about it. So, this is my alarm going off. So sorry, reminding me to not forget my children at school. So
that's
good little reminder.
Yeah.
Goes off every day, 2:00.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long story. But so just amazing things. And like, then we had to sit down actually with what do you call them? Founders of Les Levy and kind of like, can you use this much money? Like, because sometimes it's like, oh gosh, like how are we going to steward this well? So that's been, just crazy privilege. And
they sent me a 2 or 3 page document with, here's over the course of the next 2 years, everything that we're going to be able to do. Like,
incredible.
Yeah.
Which is
generosity expedites the vision of
and
through God's kingdom.
I think this is so even people who give to legacy makers, they don't dictate what the vision is, but they do have the power to expedite it. And so we don't go to Les Levy and say, here's the things that you have to do. We just get to be the generous ones.
Yep.
And when we're generous, they come back and they say, here's the 25 things that we thought would take 3 years to do. We're going to do them in 3 months now because you were generous. And I hope that that's the spirit of every person in our church who gives, who says, I don't have to like dictate it, but when I release my generosity to what Jesus said was the most important, which was take this gospel to the nations, from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the ends of the earth, then it expedites the work of
oh my gosh, we have, I don't even know how many millions of dollars of vision for just this church in-house of like, that's true no matter.
Well, it's happened with future leaders too, where people come and go, I'm ready to give to MLC. I want to fund whatever's in your heart to do. And then as a leader, you go, I better have some stuff in my heart to do, because I think many times leaders can hold back what God wants to do because we think only according to what we believe is possible.
Well, or you only see as far as the provision in front of you.
Yeah.
And when you live in like, well, this is what God wants to do, and you don't see the provision coming, you can grow weary and frustrated. We need to let Sam.
I know, we're going to come back. But that's the revelation right there. We just got to acknowledge that because that is the revelation. The reason people don't give and the reason we talk about tithe and legacy makers and people go, oh, it's another giving speech, is because they only measure based on what's in their pocket.
Yeah.
And they don't think about, but if I'm obedient to God and I invest in the things that God cares about, like he's able to provide.
I think the key to that is, have you said, Lord, where am I and how am I supposed to be generous?
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about giving to legacy makers. We say this all the time. We don't give to get, and we also We don't just give our money; we give of our lives. We give.
That's
we
just
give
like
the gospel. That,
to
the
your
apostle,
children today, Lord. How am I supposed to give to them? I'm about to get my kids from school. I tell Josh, I'm just emotional support staff from 2:20 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's all I am. It's not about. It's like, so that's even a prayer. Like, Lord, how am I going to give to them right now? What am I going to give to them? So that's the mentality of a believer. We're just hoping people get there.
So good. Okay, Sam, tell us about more. We did Less Well of We did Venture. We talked about
well, no, just what's on your
AKSP.
heart when it comes to legacy makers? What have you seen? What's encouraging you?
Yeah, I had the privilege of serving alongside the Nomads in the Middle East in February. And people are hungry. Like they've tasted and seen that the world cannot provide. And once they taste and see that Jesus can, like it's just total game changer. And so having the privilege of going out with them and ministering in the labor camps and just seeing how God is working among the people in that country who go back to their home countries.
It's this melting pot of men who come into a certain country. They kind of live in these labor camps. They're building, but then they go home to a ton of different nations, right?
Correct.
Or a variety of nations around that region.
Many of which are unreached by the gospel, meaning there's less than 1% that are professing believers.
So it's very strategic that you are kind of camping out in this one spot that represents a lot of different countries. That's so cool.
It's like an access point.
Yeah. And they've been hurt by government or their boss or whoever. And then you tell them about Jesus, right? As he will actually walk with you and he's not going to promise something that he doesn't keep. And they're just seeing a ton of people come to faith and be healed from things of their past or be healed physically.
Yep.
And it's just, it spurred me on to see what's happening around the world. But now we've seen it, we've seen it in the past month in our own country or communities of people that are hungry because they have sought and it is not provided. And now they're searching. Right. And as we point them to Jesus and see many people be free, right, from the things that they were carrying. It's been a fun ride this past month.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you were on a reach trip to another very close country, right? Did you went on that trip?
It's a very open-ended statement.
Like in the Middle East?
Yes.
You went to that? Sharing with people who are primarily Muslim?
Yes. Yes.
I'll say it and then we can cut it out of the podcast. But really a part of the world where people don't travel to, reaching people that are very, very, very limited in their exposure to Christ.
Yes.
Right. What was that experience like? And we can't say where it was, but we can say it's one of the countries
it's like HIPAA. You can explain this situation, no details.
Rhymes with
No, not that.
Definitely a country you'd like read about in the news and say, I don't want to get anywhere near there. You probably would
be signing up to go,
Yeah, it's a very humbling experience because we can walk into our living room and see a bunch of Bibles that are unused or collecting dust, and then you hand someone in a closed country a Bible and they receive it. Like it says, it's the living word, right? Or the bread of life. And it's a heart check for me of man, is my Bible collecting dust or is it something that I'm receiving from and pouring into and again, receiving back every single day?
Yes.
And then, when you give it to someone and they hear for the first time that it's not by their works that they're saved, but it's through Jesus. And again, it's not always oh, thank you for bringing me this. Sometimes it's we're going to get you now. You're showing your colors and we don't want what's being projected here in our country. So it's not like they're
if they accept Jesus, they're probably going to be cast out by their family and potentially killed.
Yeah. In many countries, when you're born, it's stamped on your passport or your whatever, you're born or your birth certificate, Muslim.
Wow.
And then that is the life you live. And that's not what Jesus did or does. He allows us to follow him instead of the forced way that they're born into. And it's truly hopeless. Like when you've been in a country, say in North Africa, and you've heard the call to prayer, it's what woke you up that morning. And you can just feel the darkness of it. And then you see people trying to uphold the pillars of Islam and knowing that it will never satisfy. It's so hopeless.
Right.
But it's a privilege on the other hand, because then you get to bring the hope of Jesus to them, knowing that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and he can make a way for them, or does make a way.
It's just a totally different speed. Like we're very fast faith here, you know, and open your Bible app, get what you need, you know, and it's, or tell somebody about Jesus, hope that they respond. And there you meet somebody, you build a relationship for 5 years, you share about Jesus, and then one day maybe it clicks, you know. It's just a totally different speed. And there's a beauty to it and a purity to it as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other, I mean, before we're done, are there any other, what would you want people to know about Legacy Makers or about the fruit?
Yeah. I would say whether it's giving of your time through a Reach trip, or your treasure through just simply giving, or both, we can either live lives to be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I was so challenged years ago. I listened to a sermon where he talked about people work so hard to get to the end of their life. And when they have the most free time, all they do is sit on a beach and count shells.
Wow.
Right? And so often I'm challenged to remind myself, like, Sam, don't try to get to the end of your days just to count shells. But how can you make a difference, whether it's what we give financially or give with our time, to go and share about Jesus and to make a difference, knowing that he is the one that changes, right? But we're to be his witnesses to the ends of the earth. So as we go and as we minister, knowing that fruit will come as he opens people's eyes to the truth. So don't waste your life.
Don't waste your life. Jenaye, anything you want to add?
Well, I think I agree with that. We've talked about how we don't see any evidence for retirement in the American way in the Bible, right? So, and when people are probably positioned the most to make, I think, honestly,
well,
later in life, I think people later in life, I think you're positioned at any time. I think those later in life, you are primed to make, I think, the biggest ripple effect in the kingdom. That, you can challenge my theology.
well,
on that.
we're not saying don't retire. We're saying don't retire from the kingdom. You know, don't.
No, we've always said retirement to us is giving yourself more fully to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a believer, that's what it should be.
Right.
Yes, you always give little cliff notes to things I say to make sure we're not liable for someone. I quit my job because they said so on the podcast.
Or I can't ever quit my job. They told me not to retire.
Yeah,
but
no, that's true.
No, I mean, but I think that the question is, how can I? They say when you're in your 60s and 70s, it's some of the most effective years of your life because of the wisdom that you have, because of the life experience that you have, and so how can?
But that's right, dude.
Ways
Can't you just see
that.
the enemy's hand in it? Well, but at 65, it's you time now. Relax.
If it becomes
You've
inward
worked
focus.
so hard.
Yep.
And I just wonder how many people would, I don't know, just have a more fulfilling last quarter of their life. And you can live for the Lord and still enjoy things, you know, and rest and vacation and whatever. So, but I don't know if I have anything else. I think I'm just full. I am so encouraged right now of what the Lord is doing in the hearts of the people in our church, specifically what we're seeing. We're seeing repentance. We're seeing confession. We're seeing hearts of generosity. You can't manufacture that. You can't make that up. And it is anti-flesh. Like it is, your flesh doesn't do that. So it has to be the Spirit.
Right.
And so I know we have, Robin, do you know when this podcast is going out? Is it before Legacy Maker? Monday before Legacy Maker Sunday. So I'm full of anticipation for November 16th, Legacy Maker Sunday, which we always say is like the moment for us of provision. So I wouldn't even want to talk about, since this podcast is for our church family, that was the heart of it. How can they be praying? How can they be preparing as we lead into Legacy Maker Sunday and all God wants to do through it?
Yeah, and by the time this podcast comes out, we will have equipped people with some information on like, hey, here's what's coming. Here's what we're believing God for. And then on Sunday, the 16th, you'll hear exactly how people can participate. I guess the picture I'll give, and this is a little bit of a preview of the message for Legacy Maker Sunday, but even to do all the things that Evangel does, or what God does through us and supporting missionaries, sometimes we can get into this attitude of like, I'm going to give financially when it's compelling. And Legacy Makers really is able to do what it does because of the people who give out of obedience and give regularly.
Well, that's a dangerous trap for us to feel like we have to make something compelling to move someone's heart to a point of generosity. That's not our job.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a really good analogy about this. Maybe I did it on the 9th. I'm not sure if I'm doing it then or on the 16th, but should I just do it? No, I'm going to save it for church. So you have to be there.
Cliffhanger, come to church on Sunday.
Yeah, you'll have to be there. But I will give you part of my analogy, which is the need in the world when this many nations and people still don't know Jesus. And in America, we're singing about Jesus is coming back soon.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're talking about 1% of a population of an entire nation.
Well,
that would know Jesus. The reality is that this is an everyday priority in the life of people in the kingdom. And the picture I'm going to give people on Legacy Maker Sunday is there's a flywheel that's always spinning. And it has to keep spinning because there's missionaries who always need supported. There's missionaries who always need prayed for. There's needs all the time. And part of our job as the comfortable American church is to make sure that that flywheel doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And that those missionaries are resourced and prayed for and that those needs are met. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to add to that I just was with some team at a conference last week and Pastor Celie was there, who's a friend. And she's talking about, I just hear people saying like, oh, Jesus, just come back. Like, Jesus, just like, please. And she said, I've heard like mature believers say this. And she said, I thought to myself, what a selfish statement. And it just like, that struck my heart because we've been talking about this. Like, I feel that. We feel the groanings, like we feel the tension on earth. And you feel that. And we've talked about how we're like, we think of our kids and the world they're going to grow up in. And it's like, what have we done? And then it's like, I'm sure my parents had that exact same thought. If they knew what we would have seen, faced, what we would have had to deal with in high school, college, whatever, they'd have been like, what have we done? But the Lord has proven himself true of who he is, and he breaks through that. So I think too, I'm saying I understand where we could say that. We could get into that mentality. It's tempting to myself. But I have to also have the farther revelation that if I do, that is probably one of the most selfish statements that I could ever utter.
Yeah. And even your children, your job is not to spare them. Your job is to prepare them,
equip them,
and equip
train
them.
them, show them.
For whatever will come in their generation,
Yeah. Right?
Sam, you get the last word.
Yes.
Oh, the thing I was thinking about as we were talking about retirement, and I was talking to a couple from our church that is retired, and they were sharing that they're moving down to Arizona. And my first thought was like, we lost another one. But then they said, we're going to serve alongside Pastor Corey, who's an AGUS missionary for 6 months. And so not just to avoid retirement, but how can I retire well?
Yep.
Yes.
And do it to where it is effective.
Yep.
And it's still making a difference in people's lives.
Purpose.
So that's what I was thinking about.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So there's all our thoughts on legacy makers and retirement. So
well, I'm like, if you're going to do it, at least like lead people to Jesus on the planes that you're on, man. I mean, and on the beaches. So
But it's not just
In your-
retired
in your
people. It's also
communities.
people our age who are only doing family vacations and only focused on
And sports and
sports and all these. So it's every generation has this challenge.
Right.
You know?
yeah, and every
Yes.
season there's a temptation to put a false god in the place where only
Yeah.
the Lord should be.
Right.
And yeah, it just looks different.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Pastor Sam.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you and your heart for all these things. It's awesome. You even wore the gear. So you're representing.
With gladness.
Yeah.
Did you? It wasn't even planned. I mean, you kind of last minute got pulled on. I'm
That's
so
correct.
glad we pulled you on.
That's
for this
awesome.
one. It's so
50
great.
minutes ago, I think he got the heads ups. Well, by now it's been 2 hours.
Speaks to your adaptability.
Anyways, this is Highly Unlikely with Josh and Jenaye and Sam. And so thanks for watching. If you think this episode would be a blessing to somebody, share, comment, and we'll see you next time.